Item Number: SCP-1217-RU. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. The subject is contained in a standard humanoid containment chamber, Type C2, at Site-7. Feeding is carried out according to standard protocols. Television, radio, newspapers, and any other sources of external information are strictly prohibited. Medical personnel daily, twice a day, check SCP-1217's health condition and oxygen levels in the chamber, as well as administer drugs to stimulate memory and brain activity. Twice, thrice a day, the subject must be encouraged to browse through the photo album with SCP-1217-1. All service personnel must wear identical suits, including helmets with face-covering visors, to avoid memorization. The images in the second part of the album must be examined by SCP-1217 with particular attention, preferably twice if the subject's condition allows. If certain instances of SCP-1217-1 are confirmed to have disappeared, their photographs must be removed from the album. Description: SCP-1217 is a person of Caucasian appearance and average height. Based on their physical appearance and research findings, the subject appears to be around 80 years old, though determining their true age is impossible, as SCP-1217 has repeatedly recalled events from the 18th century during interrogations. The subject has typical needs for food, prolonged sleep, more than 12 hours, and the satisfaction of physiological necessities, but moves and speaks very little during waking hours, likely due to the deterioration of their body. SCP-1217 is fully aware of their anomalous effect and its consequences and, as a result, makes every effort to avoid any contact with people. The anomalous properties of the subject lie in the fact that any person whose face has been seen by SCP-1217, hereafter referred to as SCP-1217-1, gradually begins to experience a sense of jamais, forgetting familiar places and faces. SCP-1217-1 continues to live only as long as they are remembered by SCP-1217. It has been noted that all SCP-1217-1 feel the approach of their inevitable end, and are instinctively drawn to the subject in an attempt to remind them of their existence, which often leads to… When interacting with SCP-1217, people experience an unexplainable certainty that they are acquainted with the subject, making their manner of communication light and casual. The subject itself remains distant in conversation, speaks little, listens absent-mindedly, avoids looking at their face, or even turns away entirely. It is possible that this communication style is related to their desire to remember as few of their victims as possible. In cases where SCP-1217 forgets any of these people, he begins to weep silently and cease responding to external stimuli, but returns to the usual state after 5 to 10 minutes. When attempts are made to inform SCP-1217 of their recent actions, they pretend not to understand what is being asked. SCP-1217-1 instances that are forgotten by the subject experience rapidly increasing weakness, and become progressively more permeable to electromagnetic radiation, starting with high-frequency waves, and after 10 to 30 minutes, they permanently disappear from reality. The duration of SCP-1217's forgetting of a given SCP-1217-1 instance varies depending on their physical and mental state. During this process, while disappearing, the victims feel intense and hardly respond to physical stimuli. The relatives, close friends, and all acquaintances of a given SCP-1217-1 completely lose their memories of them. The effect does not extend to sources of information that mention or describe the disappeared SCP-1217-1, but anyone who encounters such information will refuse to believe its authenticity, assuming it to be deliberately false. It has also been noted that close relatives, particularly those with blood relation to the disappeared, experience stress or mild cognitive dissonance when encountering irrefutable evidence in documents or records of their familial connection to SCP-1217-1. Children, parents, siblings. This effect is most pronounced in twins. See experiment log for more details. The Foundation's medical staff had noted that, despite all efforts to preserve and develop long-term memory in SCP-1217, an active process of neural connection degradation continues in its brain. Surgical intervention has been deemed too risky, as the chances of losing all current SCP-1217-1 instances at the time of writing this report individuals are extremely high. Following Dr. recommendations, electrodes were introduced into the subject's brain via endovascular X-ray method for the purpose of electrical stimulation. However, after 3 days, it was noted that the activation of the cerebral cortex increased the rate of degradation in the intermediate and posterior brain, specifically the cerebellum, causing the subject's movements to become exaggerated. Additionally, the cardiovascular system, combined with the existing ischemia and mitral valve insufficiently, was subjected to heavy strain due to the disruption of mechanisms regulating vasodilation. After respiratory function was compromised, severe shortness of breath, hypoventilation, it was decided to remove the electrodes due to the risk of the subject entering a terminal state. Attempts to remind the subject of forgotten SCP-1217-1 in any way have been unsuccessful. However, when relatives of the SCP-1217-1 that the subject is attempted to remember are asked about the missing person, their responses consist of vague memories, such as features of appearance or distinctive marks, tattoos, scars, deformities. Specific answers, such as a name or nickname, cannot be obtained. After SCP-1217 stops attempting to remember, citing weak memory and fear of forgetting other SCP-1217-1, all memories of the missing person completely vanish. Addendum 1. Discovery History. SCP-1217 was discovered on 05-19 in the Ural, near the village of in a remote forest, where, according to the subject, he had settled intentionally to avoid contact with people. Information about SCP-1217 was received from a group of tourists who went on a hike from the city of into the nearby forest. Below is an interview with one of the tourists. Researcher Alanov: Can you tell us how you encountered this elderly man? It was simple. We saw a house in the thicket. Decided to check if anyone lived there. Maybe they needed help. It happens often, you know. Go on a hike yourself, you'll see. And what did you see inside? This old man stood opposite the wall and looked at the pictures, so intently that he even rose up on his tiptoes. When we barged into his cabin, he grabbed his head, screamed, started running in circles, yelling something like, quote, "Why did you come in, fools? How am I supposed to remember all of you, huh?" Unquote. He asked if we had any photographs in which we were depicted. You were the only one who had it. The one with you and your wife, right? Yeah, so this old man, like a madman, rushed at me, took the photo, hung it on the wall, and ordered me to go to the city for photos of others. We twirled our fingers at our temples, and thought about leaving, but he started shouting like, quote, "If you leave and I don't have any photos, you'll die, and not even notice it, mark my words," unquote. Our group got so scared that they stayed, sitting in his hut, and he sent me away. So I went straight to the police in the city, just in case this madman did something with the guys. But you still took the photos and went there with our personnel? Well, you never know. What if they really will die? Anyway, you know the rest. Thank you for your answers. You're free to go. By the way, Lieutenant, almost forgot. I noticed something while I was going for help. I kept wanting to go back and show the old man that, like, here I am, alive. Don't forget about me. My head was filled with this the whole way. I even forgot about my wife and daughter by the time I got there. Our group, as I understand it, wasn't just sitting around when I left. They sat in a circle around the old man, and, in disarray like parrots, started saying, "Grandpa, ah, Grandpa." It's all a bit strange. You'll look into it, right? We'll definitely look into it. Thanks again for your help. No problem. The entire group was treated with Class A amnestics, and SCP-1217 was transported to Site-7. The photographs from the wall were placed in an album. After identifying the individuals depicted in the photographs, containment of SCP-1217 was placed under special supervision by the O5 Council. Addendum 2. Experiment Log. Experiment 1217-A. Objective: determine the location of disappearing SCP-1217-1. Result: a high-powered portable radio beacon was attached to Subject D7148, after which a meeting between the subject and SCP-1217 was arranged. Following the meeting, the latter was administered a Class A amnestic. After the disappearance of SCP-1217-1, a very weak signal from the beacon was detected at the subject's last known location in Site-7. Scanning of the area revealed no anomalous activity. The signal gradually weakened until it completely vanished after 47 seconds. Experiment 1217-B. Objective: to test the possibility of establishing contact with SCP-1217-1. Result: a two-way radio transmitter was attached to Test Subject D27154. After the subject's disappearance, a voice message was transmitted using signal-boosting equipment to determine their current location. A few seconds later, a response signal was received, which, after decryption, contained the following vocalizations. Only a few fragmented phrases were discernible, as the subject's voice sounded as if they were moving away from the microphone. Can barely see you. Like everything seems to be erased with an eraser. My are getting paler and paler. Help. Further, all vocalizations lost any clarity. Experiment 1217-C. Objective: to test effect upon the death of SCP-1217-1. Result: a meeting was conducted between D27170 and SCP-1217. After 24 hours, the subject was eliminated. The next day, during an interview, researcher Poloskinov asked SCP-1217 about the person it interacted with the previous day. The subject stated that no such meeting had occurred, and denied all claims made by the researcher, including footage from a video recording clearly showing both D27170 and SCP-1217, arguing that, quote, "You've messed something up in your computers. That didn't happen." Intentional misspelling. Translator's note. Experiment 1217-D. Objective: testing the effect involving identical twins as test subjects. Result: a meeting between D27184 and SCP-1217 was conducted, after which the latter was administered a Class A amnestic. D27185 was placed in a separate observation chamber for behavioral monitoring. Following the disappearance of D27184, D27185 exhibited signs of anxiety and panic attacks. The following transcript is provided below. Researcher Poloskinov: tell me about your current condition. D27185: you know, I'm being torn apart by wild doubt right now. I can feel it deep inside. There was always someone close to me, my brother, but now I can't even remember his name. Maybe you remember any of his features? He was a copy of me, I can feel it, but I can't remember anything. Neither his voice, nor his walk. Nothing at all. It's like I only heard about him from someone else. Researcher Poloskinov hands over a photograph of D-27184. Is this him? I don't know. If it were him, I'd feel it in my gut. Though he does look somewhat like me. Thank you. You are dismissed. Note: observations indicate that D-27185's psychological state continued to deteriorate, likely due to cognitive dissonance. 3 days after the experiment ended, D-27185 was found dead in a cell, having severed its carotid artery with a crude improvised shiv. It has been decided to cease experiments involving the use of amnestics on SCP-1217 due to severe side effects, specifically the disruption of existing weakened neural connections in the brain. Researcher Poliskanov. Addendum 3. Medical Report from February 2, 2000. As of today, the number of active areas in the subject's brain has decreased by 79% since the time of containment. With the current treatment being administered, the prognosis is grim. In months, the subject may completely lose memory and enter a vegetative state. Dr. Head of the Medical Sector of Site-7. By O5 Council decision, priority is given to developing new methods of using stem cells for brain regeneration. A directive has been sent to the scientific sector for the urgent development of drugs capable of enhancing brain activity. The possibility of brain transplantation, in the event of treatment failure, remains under consideration. O5-